Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fortnite review video that I then basically either A, stalling or B, keep on accidentally deleting the video, which is the review video for Chapter 7, Season 3 for Fortnite, as you can tell from the thumbnail. We will be talking about some of the problems I had with the chapter and some things that, well, my honest opinion about the chapter overall. And we'll be on our way and getting started. So I basically put this video into 3 sections. First will be the beginning of the season and onward. Second will be the sprites and more. And the third part will be my final opinion on the season overall. So the first part. We got introduced to new mechanics this season. Well, technically new mechanics for one of them. The new mechanic technically, but isn't really a new mechanic, is the glider redeploy, which technically we got with the I think it was Jules. Jules is grapple gun, not grapple gun, but yeah, grapple gun. So technically you can basically jump off from a spot and you can deploy your glider, and take it, put it back, or cancel the redeploy, and deploy it again, undeploy it, deploy, undeploy, undeploy. I realized I reset that twice now. But that's one of the things that is technically a new mechanic. Another would be the gizmos in this season, which we have for the sprites and whatnot. We have some gizmos like the one that allows you to extract more for sprite dust and stuff like that. Another would be the like the extraction cube one, where you can extract sprites that you have clipped to your back, and a couple other gizmos. Another one I like to talk about that is a new addition to the game would be the pocket grenades, which are pretty interesting in of themselves, since we haven't had anything like this, and it's a good addition for zero builds. The pockets allow you basically, well, the default one would be the pocket shockwave grenade, which is a really cool idea. That of it itself. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this counter. But the pocket grenade basically allows you to do stuff like movement, which will be the default one. The pocket shockwave grenade, well, at least I like to call it pocket shockwave. That's not its actual coinage name, but that's why I like to refer to it. But you have that, and you have the pocket med mist, pocket shield bubble junior, and stuff like that, which are really cool in my opinion, because they allow you to come up with different strategies with your teammates and whatnot to make it to have better team cohesion. I guess you can say, which allows you to do different techs. I want to say techs and whatnot like that. But that's one of the things. Another would be the pocket. What was it called? Pocket med mist, pocket that and whatnot. I think the smoke cloud was also a pocket device. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Moving on to the last. Actually, that was the last of the new mechanics. Moving on to the introduction of new and old weapons. A couple of weapons that we got this season that were new were the extending reach shotgun. Extending focus shotgun, which was a shotgun with like 3 ammo that can do pretty decent damage, and is, in my opinion, not that good for like full blasting, because with the full mag you can't really kill anyone unless you hit headshots the whole time, or unless you have the mythic variant. But the Reacher shotgun is good for like, okay, I shoot them with the shotgun, switch to the Ranger pistol, and then move on to the next person, shoot them with the second shell, switch to Ranger pistol, move on to the third person, shoot them with the third shell, and finish them off the Ranger pistol. That's mainly how you wanted to use the Ranger shotgun this season. Another thing that was pretty decent this season was the what was it called? What weapon was that called? Another weapon that we got was the Chaos Exploding Rifle, which I'll get to in a moment. I have a very, very detailed gripe about that one. We got some movement, which were the 7 sliders, which was decent movement, and I like that they introduced a variant that didn't have consume rate, which was pretty cool. But I'm glad they also left that variant, the variant without the consume rate, as a mythic, and made it harder to find later into the season. Like early this season, you could find like 2 pairs if you were lucky, but later in the season, you could find like 1 every like couple matches. If you were lucky, if you're pretty lucky, you can find more than just 1 pair in a couple matches. But it was nice. Another thing that came out that was pretty decent idea was the not decent idea, that was a horrible idea. The Chaos Exploding Rifle. Basically, in my opinion, the baby of the explosive repeater and the explosive red eye. This gun was so stupid in the beginning of the season, it had to get nerfed like twice for it to actually be a sort of balanced gun. I don't understand. I mean, the gun was so broken that you had like teams of 4. You had full squads running it, like multiple teams that were running the Chaos Exploding Rifle for range. It was insane. It was, in my opinion, I don't understand whoever is like, oh yeah, let's release this gun. I don't understand why they thought like that, and why they decided, and why the uppers at Epic decided, you know what, yeah, we should release this gun. I don't understand who at Epic thought it was a good idea to release it. In my opinion, it was not a horrible gun, but it was just, in my opinion, not really good of one to say, hey, let's just release this gun. It was a pretty, not doom and despair, but pretty bad, not bad gun, but in the sense, but like rough to counter, because you can't really counter with range because of the splash, and it was pretty, I want to say pretty accurate, but it was pretty good to hit. I'm glad that Epic did eventually nerf that, but it nerfed it so bad it basically was never picked up again. Going out of the new weapons, we're gonna go to the old weapons, which the Flex SMG, which I mean, I guess makes sense that why it was still in this, at least in the season partway through. And then you had the Stinger SMG, which was Stinger and the Striker Shotgun, which was a really nice return guns. You had the flare gun, you had the heavy impact sniper rifle from Chapter 5, Season 3. You had the rapid fire SMG, which in my opinion not really good. And you had the Warforged return from what year did that season come out? 24? No, 2020. Yeah, 2024. We haven't seen the Warforged since Chapter 5, Season 2. Which I'm glad that Chapter 5 is starting to get some love of return guns. I know technically we've had return guns in the past, but it wasn't quite the same. Like, I'm talking like base guns. That's it. No guns that were like, oh yeah, it's just the like the Hollow Fire SMG, which is basically the what was it called in that season? Hyper SMG, I think it was called. The MP5 from Chapter 5, Season 1. But technically it was, the only difference was the red dot, sorry, not the red dot, the hollow sight. Which is why it's the Hollow Rush, I think it was Hollow Rush SMG. when it was added back into Chapter 7, Season 1, which was a decent gun, but I digress. Going to some problems at the beginning of the season, I really had two issues. One of them was the Chaos Exploding Rifle, which I already explained. The second being the inventory bug, which basically, in the beginning of the season, there was this bug going around where, you couldn't switch to your pickaxe, which means you couldn't use your extractor cube gizmo. You couldn't throw items such as the Chug Splash grenade. Well, not the Chug Splash grenade, but the Chug Splash, your pocket grenade, shockwave grenade, or like any throwables like that. And you couldn't open your inventory to like sort your items and whatnot. You had to do it manually outside the inventory, which was really annoying. I think it happened to me only like once or twice. I know a couple people that had like several games in like one day, but that was some of the problems in the beginning of the season. Later in the season, during the 4.1.10 update, I didn't have any problems. Well, I didn't have that many problems. The only problem I had was they removed the Flex SMG, I think, during that update. And they added in the Wallace Stink hunting rifle, which in and by itself wouldn't be that much of a problem. Except they fucked up the find rate for it. So towards mid to late game, you had 4 or 5 teams running full stack of that, at least from my memory, and it was fucking rough to play against. I mean, it's the Wallace Stink hunting rifle. If it's in one person's hand, it would have been fine. But you're talking about 4 or 5 full teams running it. So, literally nowhere you could be was safe. If it's late game and you're sitting in a position where you basically can hold down an area, or sitting in a building like that, looting and hiding from other players as they're basically just, freaking Left 4 Dead zombies running around trying to find you, they can basically just, oh yeah, I'm just gonna flick shot around with the hunting rifle, and they can basically rat you out immediately. Even if it's not late game and it's just mid game, and you just don't want to fight because you have the sprite that you have mastered and whatnot, you're trying to use the extractor, they can just flick shot around and shoot everywhere, which was very annoying. Going into 4.1.20 update, you had the Battle Bus Rift event, which in and of itself, not a bad idea. I'm actually kind of glad that they added it like the way it is. Except I have a couple problems, such as the effect where it basically just ends the game. Like, I'm not quite happy with that. The fact that, oh yeah, it just instantly ends the game. I kind of wish it's like, oh yeah, you can get onto the bus and you'll basically leave early and it'll still count as a win, but other people can go around and still fight. Because it basically forces you to make a decision. Do you want to lose, or do you want to get on the bus and potentially lose? Or potentially lose and potentially win. It was just very interesting how they ran it. In my opinion, it could have been a little bit better, but then again, I'm not a developer or anything. And so with that out of the way, we go into the 4.1.30 update, which is when they introduced I think the last line of the sprites, which I think they introduced Cube. No, they introduced, was it Gem during that time? Yeah, I think they introduced the Gem sprites and 2 to 3 new sprites. I think Iron Mouse was one of the new ones added. It was Iron Mouse, Peaky Peely, and Looting Llama. The Iron Mouse and Looting Llama I had no problem with. Peaky Peely, on the other hand, I fucking despise. I don't understand why the devs thought it was a good idea to add that sprite. In my opinion, it was a very shit idea. They should have not added that sprite into the game. It was ridiculous. I mean, when it first came out, the Peaky Peely sprite, the minimap was entirely covered in the reveal location pings for the Peaky Peely sprite, since that's what it did. The Peaky Peely sprite basically said, reveal all nearby rare sprites. I think it was reveal all nearby rare sprites. Reveal enemy players with rare variants, well, not rare sprites, but rare variant sprites. Reveal all rare variant sprites that enemy players have, but you also are pinged yourself. So basically, if you were grinding out, say, a cubed Grim, you were fucked. People will be on your ass in a moment because of the Pika Pili sprite. Even later in the season, you still have that problem too. I don't know. Does this look good? It looks okay, I guess. Not better than the bare bones I had. But Pika Pili sprite was ridiculous when it first came out. It was just retarded how they wrote it. If they would have wrote it says like, oh yeah, reveal all nearby rare variants, and they just left it at that, I would have been fine. But I don't know why they decided, you know what, let's just make it so it pings players too. Because that was just ridiculous. And that's all I have for the beginning of the season and onward. We will be getting into the second section of this video, which is sprites and more. So, for this season, I'm glad they reintroduced sprites back. It's actually a fun idea to have sprites back. I'm kind of miss sprites. I kind of wish they left a couple of sprites how they were back then. Like the water, fire, and air sprite. I kind of wish they left that. Well, they did leave I think the water sprite, I don't think they touched at all. I think they just left it how it was, except add the leveling system. The fire sprite, I don't remember much of this fire sprite. I don't remember what the ability was. But the air sprite, oh god, I wish they would have kept the old air sprite. The new air sprite basically makes it so you have increased sprint, increased jump height depending on what level, and nullifies fall damage. That in and of itself is not bad, but once you consider the movement for the season, which is basically overdrive and the pocket shockwave, there was like 2 other movement, like the sliders and the 3. The sliders, the gauntlet, the Spider-Man gauntlets, and the shock rocks. But Spider-Man gauntlets, you only had to find the backpacks, get lucky with the hollow chests. I think they were in a hollow chest, or buy them off Spider-Man himself, which you need like 2k gold to buy off Spider-Man. So Spider-Man gauntlets weren't really I want to say common later in the season. When the Spider-Man gauntlets first came out, I think there was Power Hour for that. But later in the season, it was kind of rough finding them. The 7 sliders, they were good movement, but they had a consumption rate, which were iffy. Unless you're on water, but in most spots, you can only find water around like only a couple spots. Basically, if you were in the middle of the section of the map, you were basically cooked because there wasn't that many water unless you were by, I think, the section where Sinister Strip was, because that in the back area you had like a bunch of water that you could be around. What other? But overdrive grenades and shock grit, because the thing is, the air sprite made you jump high enough to where you weren't in a range of effect of the overdrive grenades or the shock grenades or the shockwave grenades. So basically, you wasted your movement. Now, the air sprite rework was kind of cool. I won't admit it. I won't dumb that down. But in my opinion, the only way for it to be good was in BR, regular BR, because it would actually help you get around builds and whatnot a lot easier than in Zero Build. And Zero Build, in BR, you don't have the Shockwave Grenade. You don't have the Pocket Grenades or anything like that. You only had the Overdrive, Spider-Man Gauntlets, and the 7 Sliders. That's it. Well, the Shock Rocks, but they removed them, I think, in 4.1.20? No, they kept them around all season. They just reduced the amount of that you can have. Going into the implementations for the sprites. It was cool how they implemented it with once you get the sprite, you can unlock it and have it as a back bling and a you have to have master for it to be in the back bling. but you can unlock it in the back bling once you have it mastered, and you'll unlock it in the I don't remember what that guy's called. The skin that was in the battle pass, where you can have different customization for. You unlock that sprite for that customization. I kind of liked how they did the extraction, but I'm a bit iffy because the extraction, you're basically a target. There's only a couple spots where you can sit on extraction and not be found that easily, being the pool extraction. I kind of want to say the extraction over by Battlewood and the one over in the Mesa area, or in the desert area. There's only, again, like a couple extraction points where you can actually sit and be protected and out of sight of people. Pool was the best one because you had a full building right there. My problem with the extraction though is people can just jump the extraction as soon as it lands, kill you before you can put the sprite in, or they basically just camp the extractions or slink up and wait for you to come out and put the extraction in. Now we're going into the sprites. In my opinion, the worst sprites were the Batman, Duck, and Peaky Peely. Peaky Peely I've already explained because of the pings. Duck was because of how little it gave you for shields and white heal. Even though on paper it should have been good, when it was put into when it was actually put into play, it was horrible because it felt like it gave you nothing when it healed. And you had to be emoting or jamming too, which means you were basically, if someone was in the area and you tried to emote or do that, you're cooked. You're dead because they'll just immediately know where you are and jump you and know that, hey, this person's possibly healing. So the Duck sprite was kind of ass. Batman was iffy. If the Batman sprite was in, if you use the Batman sprite in BR, it was fine because you didn't have the redeploy glider and whatnot. You only had that in zero build. In BR, it probably would have been fine. But in BR, it was kind of annoying to use because once you did it, like say you're going to a specific spot and you forgot you had the Batman sprite equipped and whatnot, and you weren't really paying attention and you had it equipped or you picked it up off the ground to bring to extraction and it was on your back, which means it was being used. When you tried to use that sprite, it lifted you up in the air and pushed you away from the target, meaning you couldn't land when you wanted to. It was especially horrible when you're trying to run away from people in zero build because you can cancel the redeploy and deploy that again, and it'll basically, I want to say break people's aim. And then you can just land quickly and run away. And with the Batman sprite, you're basically being lifted in and out of the air, leaving you prone to fall damage or missing your target area where you want to land, or leaving you open for people to kill you a lot easier. The best sprites, in my opinion, are 4 specific ones. I'll go into the best sprites. My opinion, there's 4 specific ones. Iron Mouse, Water, Ghost, and Boss. Starting with Iron Mouse, she gives you increased heal and she cloaks you. Well, not increased heal, but she heals you and nearby squad members and cloaks you, which in my opinion is really good. What was the other one? The Water sprite is because it heals you and your teammates, and in some area, if you're hanging around the sections of in between sections of the map, you had a river that you can go in and sit in the whole time and heal up. The Ghost sprite is really good for you being able to, oh, you know what, I'm using a sniper, I'm just gonna sit away and make it so it's even harder for you to hit. I can basically break line of sight when I'm sniping. I snipe with the heavy impact rifle, duck out and the Ghost sprite activates when I'm reloading it, and I duck out of sight and move to a different spot and shoot you, pop up, shoot you again, and then repeat it and repeat it. It's also good for implementing. Sorry about the mosquito on my screen, or whatever that was, whatever bug that was. There was It's also good for rotations and whatnot. because you can use it for rotating. You can shoot a gun or have a gun already shot, and you just reload it, and then you just move away and rotate around people or rotate towards storm without really getting noticed unless someone's really paying attention to you. The boss sprite, it's obvious if you know what the boss sprite does, because it's just increased health and shield. Because I think you can go all the way up to 25 or 30, which was pretty good and a huge upper hand. So now that we're done with all the sprites, the best and worst sprites, we're going into variants, which you have regular, gold, gummy, galaxy, cube, gem, quack, and holofoil. Which some of the variants are pretty good. Like some give you a buff to XP, a buff to find more ammo, and some of them are iffy, like the cube variant, which allows you to. The cube variant gives you overdrive effect and storm. I need to look up the variants real quick. The what's the cube, right? Yeah, well, and storm give the overdrive effects. The quack gave you 50%. Gains 50% sprite XP earned to other sprites in your inventory, which would be really cool if you're trying to like level up sprites or whatnot and you have a lot in your inventory. And the gem, which the gem was pretty cool, but I can only see the gem one being effective in BR since you take 30% less fall damage, and in zero build there's not really a point since you can just redeploy your glider and land safely. So those are the sprites and the variants. We're going to go into the third section of this video. Finally, my final opinion about the season. It was a good season. It was a lot. It was a pretty good season overall. Even though it seems like I've been griping and complaining about the season right now up to this point, it was actually a fairly decent season. It was better than most seasons that we've had in the past. For this chapter, chapter 7 season 1 was good and it added a couple of new things. In chapter 7 season 2 was just straight horrible, so having season 3 be a lot better than season 2 and 1 combined was pretty good and a breather. They added pretty decent rift events. I think there were only 3 from what I remember, being the battle bus, the sprite hunt, and the safe extraction, which all 3 of those were pretty good. I actually like those ones, and well, I have my gripe about the battle bus one, but I still think the battle bus one was pretty good. They had decent weapons and gameplay and mechanics such as the redeploy, the pocket grenades, the extending shock, the extending focus, the Spider-Man gauntlets and whatnot. They did a pretty good job of implementing that stuff and implementing the sprites. I'm not happy, like I said earlier, I'm not happy about the extraction campers and the battle bus campers and the the vault campers, because they re-added the vaults in this season, which was a pretty cool idea. With the vault keys and the vault key cards, because there was 2 different vaults that you can get. Another problem I had was in the beginning of the season, when you're opening the key vaults, the actual key vaults, not the key card, you could only get 1 holo chest and 1 sprite chest. And I'm glad that later in the season they was like, oh yeah, we're just gonna make it so you get 2 holo chests and 1 sprite chest, which was a pretty good idea and pretty good, I want to say, buff. But other than some gripes and opinions, the season was pretty good. If I were to rate it 1 out of 10, I'll probably say it's about like a 6. No, not a 6. Like 6.5, 7. It was a pretty solid season. It's better than most seasons we've had so far. And my opinion, we should have stayed in we should have stayed in season 3. This season that is currently going on is absolute fucking dog shit in my opinion. But I'll get to that when that season ends and I get to make another video on this. Sorry if I seem scatterbrained and whatnot. I do have a script, but still coming up with words to say, and try not to stutter over it, forget, or try to reword it in a way that doesn't sound like I'm a fucking idiot. This is also my first time doing one of these big review videos. Normally, if you guys were around when my channel was getting started, I used to do like upload like update videos for Fortnite, like back in like I think chapter 5. No, not chapter 5. Chapter 5 was too early. Like chapter 6, sometime around like season 1 and 2. I used to do update videos for a lot, especially for I wasn't just doing BR, I was doing whatchamacallit, Ballistic when it was still around. Oh my god, they did Ballistic dirty. Um I have to make an entirely different video for Ballistic because I can say so many things about Ballistic right now. But I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys have different opinions about what my rating and whatnot, please feel free to say it in the comments. You can also check out my Discord channel, my Discord server for this YouTube channel, which will be in the description for the YouTube channel. And you guys can go over there and say your different, like say how you would do the review or the opinions or your guys' opinions on this season. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys have a nice day. Thanks for stopping by.